Learning startling new details tonight as 6 new suspects now face fraud charges. 14 state social services programs have cost Minnesota $18 billion. And the lead prosecutor says half of that could be fraudulent. Lou Raguse joins us now with the very latest in this case. Lou, the numbers are stunning.
Absolutely, Lauren. The last couple months, we've been reporting that the fraud could be $1 to $2 billion. But now Joe Thompson, the lead prosecutor, says it could be $9 billion. He says he doesn't make that estimate lightly, and that in his review of the providers in these programs, he sees more red flags than he does legitimate providers.
Walking out of court after pleading guilty today of defrauding autism services, Asha Hassan represented just the beginning.
Are you planning to testify against any other defendants in the case?
The beginning of the next round of fraudsters convicted of bilking Minnesota's social service programs, the scope of which, $18 billion, is eye-popping.
Joe, could you give us a bare minimum of how much of that $18 billion you suspect will turn out to be fraud?
I think a significant portion.
First Assistant U.S. Attorney Joe Thompson eventually revealed that he thinks half of that $18 billion spent on those 14 different programs in Minnesota was illegitimate.
I don't make these generalizations in a hasty way, so when I say a significant amount, I'm talking on the order of half or more, but we'll see. When I look at the claims data and the providers, I see more red flags than I see legitimate providers, and overwhelmingly so.
Thompson showed how those 14 programs, now deemed by the state to be high risk for fraud, exploded in growth over the last few years. Just like the canary in the coal mine, the $300 million Feeding Our Future meal fraud case.
What we see in Minnesota is not a handful of bad actors committing crimes. It's a staggering industrial scale fraud.
Of the new suspects charged today in housing fraud, many familiar patterns. Hundreds of thousands of dollars sent overseas. But at least one new detail, even to Thompson.
What's essentially fraud tourism. 2
out-of-state residents who Thompson says came here to commit fraud because of Minnesota's reputation.
They came here because they knew and understood that Minnesota was a place where taxpayer money could be taken with little risk and few consequences.
Thompson says they do not see fraud to this scale in other states. One of the top red flags he talked about is how many of these suspects participated in multiple different programs. Asha Hassan, for example, pleaded guilty today to a $14 million autism fraud, and she also admitted she stole $465,000 in the Feeding Our Future meal fraud case. And Lauren, Governor Walz released a statement applauding the charges today, also pointing out the things that the state has done over the last few months to tighten up on the fraud.
Lou, in your story, Joe Thompson pointed out that this money, much of it is being sent overseas. A lot has been made of that nationally. Where did he say that money's going, and does he see links to terrorism?
He said, first of all, no, there's no links, no intentional links to terrorism. The majority of the money that's going overseas is going to Kenya, where a lot of the suspects who are Somali Americans living here in Minnesota have family members in Nairobi, Kenya. And that's where a lot of the money was sent and then spent there on real estate.
All right, still a lot to unravel here. Lou, thank you.